What's going on, guys? I am Matthias, and welcome to Reading Your Comments because it is Sunday today, and that's what we do on Sundays. Today, I'm reading all of your biggest fears. That's right, we're gonna get a little deep today. We're gonna get a little real, and also there's probably some funny stuff in there too. And I don't mean to make fun of any of your fears, but we are going to together collectively embrace that fear exists, and it's okay to have fears, and it's okay to laugh at yourself too. Before we begin though, question of the day for a future episode is, give me another one of your most embarrassing moments ever. If you didn't make it into a previous embarrassing moment video, time to put those comments down below. Let's begin. My biggest fear is telling others I'm afraid. I feel like that's a lot of people's fears. A lot of people, I feel like, are scared to let other people know that they're scared of just anything and everything. It's almost ironic, but I think a lot of people have that fear. My biggest fear is for my dog to pee on my homework again. Once when I was doing my vocabulary homework while laying on my bed, my dog ran into the room. My brother was chasing the dog, Clyde, for whatever reason. Clyde jumped on my bed and peed on half on my hand and half on my homework. The dog, that is. Luckily, I had already completed the homework. It was disgusting. The paper was dried and perfume was put on it. It was crinkled up like raisins and probably smelled like dog pee. Fun fact, I put the homework in a bag and I turned it into the teacher. Turns out she forgot why the homework was in a bag and graded it with her bare hands. She told me so. Donald Trump being president. Again, probably a very relatable fear. My biggest fear is having a biggest fear. Being eaten by a squirrel. Ashley Hicks. Is that a picture of a hamster in your profile? Maybe that's why you're scared, because you're a hamster? If not, a squirrel would take a lifetime for a squirrel to eat you. Plus, they just like nuts. Not those kind of nuts. My biggest fear is never getting to start my life with my boyfriend. You know, like you and Amanda have done. I'm afraid I'll never get a chance to marry him, never get a chance to live with him, never get a chance to grow old with him. I'm scared I'll die before I do. I just want what you and Amanda have. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to wait. That is very true. Sometimes you just have to wait. I remember Amanda and I had to wait and wait and wait, and it felt like an eternity. It just did. But we're together now, and it's worth the wait, let me tell you. So just keep on waiting, you'll make it happen, don't worry about it. My biggest fear is a very unlikely one. I'm 5'6" and I'm 12. So with my big and crazy imagination, I'm always afraid that if I put my feet too far to the bottom of my bed, something will reach up and grab my feet, drag me out of bed, down my hall, and murder me in the bathroom. Yeah, why would they drag you to the bathroom to murder you? Easy cleanup? That is scary though. I'm not gonna lie. My biggest fear is being asked what my biggest fear is. Whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to trigger you. Walking in the dark with spiders around me, then a man taking me away to a secret hideout. I have a fear of forgetting a lyric when I'm singing in front of my friends that know the song and fainting in front of Shawn Mendes when I meet him. Okay, so those are two separate fears. Which will never happen. Thinking about it, I think I might want it to happen because then he might come and help me. I'm terrified of ants. And no, I don't mean those huge ants that live in the desert and rainforest. I mean those little garden ants that like to come inside and take over your house. This all started about 3 years ago when we had an ant infestation, and it was so bad that they were in our beds. So one night I woke up with a tickling sensation on my leg and there was an ant crawling on it. I got up and was just about to sweep it off of my bed when I saw a giant centipede on my wall. I left my room and tried to sleep on the couch. Now I'm brought to tears whenever an ant crawls on my skin. I'm 15 now, by the way. One time my dad was trying not to wake anyone up. And this was like, I guess when I was a kid or something like that. And he went downstairs, all the lights were off, so not to wake us up, and poured like a bowl of cereal, I think it was like Raisin Bran maybe, and started eating it. And he was like, this Raisin Bran is just like oddly crunchy, something wrong with it. And he turned on the lights and it was just like filled with ants. He had just eaten half a bowl of cereal and it was just mostly ants. Dying. I always imagined how the future would be, and dying makes me want to rethink my life. Jumping from heights into pits of spiders. Do pits of spiders exist? Spider pits. Sounds like Spider-Man needs some deodorant, am I right? Spider pits. My biggest fear is bees. Just bees, I hate them. Clowns, I hate them so much. They are so scary. My brother, J. Fred, at a certain point in his life was terrified of clowns. I think when he was like 4 or 5 or something like that, my mom and him were walking into the store. My mom held on to her hands pretty tightly when we were in the store, but he saw a clown and he just bolted out the door and through the parking lot, and like a car almost hit him or something crazy like that because he saw a clown, a generic clown. You know, the big red nose, those things scare people. My biggest fear is mannequins. Everyone thinks it's a stupid thing to be afraid of, but it's not as stupid as my friend's. She's afraid of bananas. Actually, mannequins, I would believe, is somewhat relatable. Since mannequins are human-like, but not human, I think there's some sort of psychological issue with that. The fact that they are anatomically correct without a face. There's something definitely creepy about that. Well, mannequins can have faces too, but some don't. Maybe I'm thinking of crash dummies. Spiders, relatable. I have arachnophobia. I was in the 2nd grade and I had to go to the bathroom. I went into a cubicle, closed and locked the door, pulled down my pants to use the toilet. I look into the corner and there's a daddy long leg spider. I screamed, opened the door, and with my pants still down, and ran into the cubicle next to it. A girl from the 7th grade heard my screaming and asked if I was okay. I stayed dead silent. Heights. I went tree climbing and I made it to the first branch. Achievements! The biggest fear of mine is reptiles. Ugh, I get the chills in my spine when I see them. I just hate the way snakes swirl like that. And have you seen alligators? Ugh! My biggest fear is being criticized by my friends and strangers, and it happened to me in my primary school and everyone laughed and I felt so embarrassed. My biggest fear is biting into an apple and finding half a worm in it. Luckily, I'm getting braces, so yay. Does that mean you don't have to eat apples? One time I bit into an apple and then I realized, luckily there wasn't a worm in it, but the worm had already left it. The worm had just made that apple its home, let me tell you. Ugh, it'd probably be Pogo the clown. Yeah, see, clowns, spiders, those are scary things, guys. I have to admit, my biggest fear are holes. I mean holes like trypophobia. That's horrible, OMG. Okay, I had to look up trypophobia, or I think that may be spelled wrong, trypnophobia or something like that. It's a fear of like small holes all together. And like, let me tell you, I'm not gonna lie, that's a little creepy. A little creepy when you search that word. A little creepy. My biggest fear is family members dying by spiders. Yup. So your biggest fear isn't spiders, is that your family members will die of spiders. That's crazy. That's interesting. Like, I'm scared of spiders for you. That's your fear. Never heard of that one before. New. My biggest fear since I am a boy is giving birth. Well, you're in luck, sir. You don't ever have to worry about that. I have a fear of big, open, empty spaces. It gives me the feeling that someone is following. I'm looking at you, Slender. My biggest fear is losing control or having no control over a situation or my body whatsoever. At first, I thought it was swimming, but then I took swimming lessons and I realized it wasn't swimming or watery depth that scared me, but the fact that I can't control my path easily until I learned how to swim. Ta-da! No more fear of swimming until I experienced a panic attack, and it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. My body did not listen to me and I tried to stand straight. The world was just getting darker and everything was just slipping from my hands. It's then that I figured out that losing control is my biggest fear. My biggest fear would have to be getting stuck in another country. Last summer, this almost happened. My family and I went to Nicaragua for my mother's high school reunion, and the place had some nice people, but my mother would tell me and my dad not to talk while shopping, mainly due to a few Americans' hate messages written on the walls. On the actual day of the reunion, my mother thought she picked a return flight for 12 a.m. for that day. She did not. The time we were supposed to leave was 12 p.m. Luckily, my dad kept a level head and we were able to find us another flight for that night, so it turned out fine in the end. But I would not want to get stuck in a country I don't know. My biggest fear is probably knives. So 2 years ago, I had an accident with a Swiss Army knife. I was too stupid to open it up and the blade opened right into the palm of my hand. After an hour of bleeding and a visit to the ER, I wasn't feeling very proud of myself. You'll be surprised to know that a lot of people actually don't know how to use a pocket knife. There's actually been multiple times in my life where I handed someone a pocket knife and they were like, how do I open this? You just take the blade out. Just take the blade out. Actually, mostly people I feel like don't know how to put the blade back in. One time I actually did that. My dad was like, never play with this pocket knife. And I took the pocket knife out and I opened it up and then I couldn't figure out how to shut it. I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. And that's how I found out and I got spanked. Because because I couldn't figure out how to shut it. Okay, my worst fear is clowns. They're terrifying. So last Halloween in 2015, I was going to go out trick-or-treating with my best friend, Favor. Little did I know Favor had dressed up as a clown, so when Favor knocked on my door so we could leave, she hid behind the small brick wall that was in the front of my house. Being the dumb kid I am, I walked over to the wall and then Favor jumped out and screamed, and I may have punched her in the face, resulting in a broken nose. We're still best friends though. Guys, make sure you check out the last reading your comments where I read all about the craziest autocorrects that you ever had that ruined your life, and give this video a like right now. And answer the question of the day, which is, what is your most embarrassing moment that you've ever had? Put it down in the comments below, and we will see you in a future episode. High five.